Hi everyone and welcome to episode 85 of the Talk is Cheap show. Hope you're all well, healthy and COVID free. Thanks to you all for tapping in. We truly appreciate support. As you can see live in the studio, it is both my honour and pleasure to introduce to you my co-host, expert analyst and good friend, the entertaining, the esteemed, the exciting, the ebullient, the effervescent, the electrifying, the exhilarating, the enthralling, the epic, the eloquent, the elite. He's quite simply the expert, football connoisseur and analyst. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please give a big digital round of applause for Curtis Shaw of Curtis Shaw TV in the house. What are you saying, bro?
What an introduction, man. As I say, man, I don't know half them words, but they sound good, so I'll let it run, man. Yeah, I'm good. The sun's out, you know.
Is it? Wow.
Well, not in here, but yeah, the sun's
hot
out.
though, isn't it?
It is hot, man. An English heat, man.
I've got my bottle of water, but I might have to reach for a towel if it keeps
man.
like this.
English heat's relentless, isn't it? But nah, man, I'm good, man. How are
Yeah,
you?
it's good to have you in, man. Good to have you in. And tell the people what you've been up to.
Usual stuff, content, you know, on the channel.
Banging out that content,
Banging out that content, man. Can't mess about. And with all this vaccine thing going off, they're saying if you ain't got that passport, you might not even be allowed in the ground. So, you know.
Yeah, don't tell me you deleted the app so you didn't get pinged.
Nah,
You're one of them, man.
I didn't even have the app in the first place, to be honest.
No, but you know what? They can still track you down.
Yeah,
you can still get that phone call. You know? I know a couple of people who have had that phone call recently. But anyway, moving on then. So, okay, so the Euros are now over and the football season is now just 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
So let's turn our attention to all things Arsenal. And as I always like to say on this programme, Arsenal is that gift that keeps giving, the perennial gift, so there's always stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
So last week, Arsenal travelled up to Scotland for the first of two friendlies. The first one against Hibs didn't work out too well. We lost that one. And then we had the second of those two friendlies, this time in Glasgow against Celtic. Big club.
Rangers.
Sorry. Rangers.
Yeah.
Rangers, yeah. Against Rangers. Good game. Good game, man. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. 2-2 draw. What was your overall thoughts on that game?
I thought we played a lot better than the Hibs game. Hibs game, we looked a little bit disjointed. I thought against Rangers, we moved the ball well. We were pressing from the front, which is the way I want to see us play. And, you know, if Aubameyang would have had the right boots on that day, we'd have probably come away with a victory because, you know, he missed some sitters, but it is pre-season. Let's hope by the time the season starts, he's got them shooting boots on. But
I was going to ask you, actually.
Encouraging performance.
I was going to ask you later, but I might as well just segue into it now. Are you a bit worried about his form? Because I have to say that, and if any of you watched it,
yeah.
I must admit, I'm starting to get a little worried, bro, because, okay, it's a pre-season friendly. But listen, man, he was playing for a reason. They're trying to get him into shape. As I said earlier, the Premier League is a few weeks away now. And you want your striker to be getting at least one of those. And the thing is, of the three, am I right in saying that they weren't particularly hard?
Oh, no. They were getting easier as he missed them, I think. Do you know what I mean? But
and then you look at the way he took those chances. I mean, the header was nowhere near the goal.
What a ball.
And I'm starting to think whether there might be a little bit of a confidence issue going on. Some people are even daring to suggest that we might be seeing signs of
the beginning of the end.
Yeah, age creeping in or whatever. But listen, man, you used to be a professional footballer and even more so you used to be a striker. So tell me what's going on in his mind.
I think with Aubameyang, every Arsenal fan should be concerned because he had a pretty poor season for his standards. Yeah. If you have a bad 5 games, 10 games, that's form. If you have a bad season, that's a long period of time. So I always say Aubameyang's got credit in the bank. For 2.5 years, he carried this team on his back. But for the last season, we've seen signs that he's faltering. If he can hit the ground running this season, then he's back. If he carries on with that form, then we've got a problem on our hands. So, look, I think it's a mixture of last season we were poor. We didn't create a lot of chances. It didn't look an easy team to play in for a striker last season. But at the same time, he's got to take responsibility for himself. And is it age catching up with him? I think he's 31, 32. His game's built around speed. Is he just starting to... But listen, I'm still backing him. Some people will say, listen, you know, maybe... I just think if we've put up with Bellerin's, Xhaka's, El Nene's, then surely Aubameyang deserves a little bit of patience because he's done way more than them guys. So, but he's got to perform this year, definitely.
Yeah, man, I think that's quite spot on. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you missed the first one, you think, okay, it's early, you'll get another chance. He gets another chance. He missed that one, you're thinking, oh, you know what, that's poor. But, you know, he'll get another chance and he'll put it away. And then he got the third one.
Yeah.
And he didn't put that away either. And all three were pretty woeful misses. And then not long after that, it gets taken off as well.
Yeah.
You just start thinking to yourself, whoa, boy, man, it was
a bad tour for him.
It's not been good for him so far. But listen, man, I'm keeping faith with him. And I urge the fan base to do exactly the same. But speaking of the game, I made a list there, positives. Tavares.
Yeah.
He looked good.
He did. Like, I can already see you've got...
I know what you're going to say.
We're not going to start barking here, you know. Yeah? I'm not going to start barking here. Yeah, but listen.
It seems like his bite is worth more than the bulk, though, isn't it? And his pedigree is coming.
No, listen, I can see that being a running theme of the season, isn't it? But no, listen, fair play to him. I thought he played well.
He did.
He was aggressive, and when he signed, it was interesting because he's a left back and he's left-footed, but he was speaking about how good his right foot was. Oh. So then he presses the guy, wins the ball back, and shows Aubameyang how to finish. Just bends it in the bottom corner. I'm like, I don't mind that. That's
you know, it's funny you said that because we were saying that at the watch-along, that the way he finished that was with aplomb, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He didn't rush. You know what I mean? He chose his spot and he just calmly slotted the ball home. I mean, that was reminiscent of Aubameyang.
Yeah.
Not last season.
The season before, yeah.
But I was very impressed with his performance and his goal. So that was definitely a positive.
Yeah.
And I have to also say, we did create quite a few chances.
We did.
We did look good in spells. Eddie scored a good goal.
Yeah, big old Eddie, man. Listen, you know, we sometimes run a little, but listen, one thing I say about Eddie, he never stops. He will keep going. He worked hard for his goal. And listen, if he's at the club, it's a chance for him to keep working hard. And if he gets a move somewhere else, then, you know, it'll be profitable for Arsenal. So I thought Eddie did well. I thought Smith Rowe. I actually think Pepe, over the 2 games, has been our best attacking player. You know,
not for the first time, actually.
Yeah, so I think we need a big season from him this year. Hope Arteta keeps
up. The team.
Yeah, if he's not on the bench.
You think he's done enough to get on the bench?
Yeah, I think he'll at least be on the bench.
Yeah, man. Negatives I've got down. Arsenal's defending, especially from set pieces, was quite worrying, wasn't it?
Dreadful.
And it's interesting because we've spoken on this show about Ben White, and you know, there's a lot of the Arsenal fans. Oh, we don't need him, and this and that. Well, after some of the defending we've seen on the pre-season tour so far, I would say that we do need him, man. So, ASAP.
Yeah, it was poor. We've 4 goals in 2 games. 3 of them were set pieces. 2 of them just completely unmarked, you know. And you've got to bear in mind, Rangers, their 2 best attacking players weren't playing in Alfredo Morelos and Ryan Kent. Defoe pulled his hamstring after 20 minutes. So,
but he's finished.
Well, yeah, but I'm sure, you know, in front of goal he's still decent, but he's getting on a bit now. But no, the defending has to improve. I know a lot of people praised the defending last year, but I still think it needs to go up another level.
So who's a centre-back with a bald head? Some people...
Bob Bolden. Bob Bolden, mate. The funny thing was, I was calling this guy Bolden all last season because everyone could see the hair was disappearing. I reckon there's a Turkish holiday on the way, man. You know what I mean? I think you cut it off first, then you plant it, and then it grows back.
Trip to Turkey
I reckon he'll miss a game somewhere and he'll come back with an afro.
I'll tell you what, if he's going to do a Turkey movie, he needs to... First, he's got to ring up Andros, man.
Yeah, Andros. Oh, my days. That's the best one I've ever seen.
If I ever get one, which you never know, I might be a bit old for it now, but I've always said I'm going to ring up Andros and yo, man, you got to put me in touch with your boy.
His hair was up there when he came back. I don't know what happened.
Okay, then. So, you're right. Pre-season tour. Talking of pre-season tour,
Yeah.
It's disappointing to hear that the America trip was called off, wasn't it? Because there was a couple of good games lined up there. There was for those of you who don't know, Arsenal was scheduled to tour America, and they had games like Inter Milan and Everton and another team. What are they called?
It was one of the American
South American team lined up. Unfortunately, however, there has been a minor outbreak of COVID in the Arsenal camp. I think all the cases were asymptomatic, so I don't think it's serious. But they were forced to cancel, which was a bit disappointing. But I do know that they've got some other games lined up.
Yeah.
So
Behind
the Mine
closed
Series Cup.
Yeah.
Taking place in early August. Chelsea on Sunday, August the 1st, followed by Tottenham the following week.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on those?
First of all, with the America trip, I mean, I really wanted to go over there.
I
know they were making it difficult to get over there, though. I think there's a bit of a travel ban between the UK and America, but they would have been good games to watch. Inter Milan. Maybe they've done us a favour. We haven't won a pre-season game yet. Inter Milan and Everton wouldn't have been easy. But it's a shame, especially for the American gooners who would have wanted to see it. I think Arsenal said they're going to play 2 behind closed doors friendlies.
I did hear that as well.
And then, like you
Has
said,
that been confirmed yet?
I think they're confirming it. And then obviously Tottenham and Chelsea. I mean, it's interesting because we don't usually play teams like this in pre-season. We play Chelsea second Premier League game of the season, so they're going to get a good look at you. I don't know. We've got a good record against Chelsea. There'll be tough games. It'd be nice to go to the home game against Chelsea, but they'll be tough. We could potentially go into the start of the season with no victory. Which. I mean, it doesn't always dictate the way your season's going to go, but you want confidence. You want Aubameyang to get a goal. So they're going to be tough
That's
games.
what I was looking at. I was not so much looking at the results. You're looking at the performances and how sharp people look.
Yeah.
And like you said, with the strikers, the likes of your Aubameyang, Lacazette, people like that, Eddie. If they're converting their chances. And that's why I was pleased for Eddie because, he's had a lot of stick from the fans over the past year or so. To see him get a goal, and he took his goal well, that was positive. And by contrast, like I said, it's a bit worrying to see Aubameyang.
I think those behind closed doors games, they might need to give him a free hit somewhere. Give him a little League One team they can beat 8-0, Aubameyang gets 4 or something,
Because that first game's looming, man. Against
tough
Brentford.
game.
And indeed, I think we played Brentford last season in a pre-season friendly, and they beat us. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be a pushover for sure.
No,
but,
tough game.
But yeah, moving on then. So let's look at the latest with regards to Arsenal's transfer activity, or as I like to say, or lack thereof. So we now know that William Saliba has gone out on loan to Marseille. Your quick thoughts on? I mean, we've spoken about Saliba so many times, but now he's gone. Now, what's your thoughts on?
I mean, look, overall, I would have kept him, but that's not going to happen. He's gone. I think Marseille are a big club in France. Big fan base. They're in Europe. It's actually a bit of an upgrade for him at the moment, really. So be on a bigger platform. It's just going to be interesting because when the season finishes, he's only got 2 years left. Clearly, for me, there's something wrong between him and Arteta. So if he has a good season at Marseille, you might have a situation where he doesn't want to come back. That's the worrying thing. But listen, I hope he goes there, does really well on a bigger platform and comes back. I still believe this guy should have a future at Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to the player as well, he always seems like he's very keen to want to play for Arsenal.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. No one knows really.
No.
I mean, last season, we heard the manager say something, words to the effect that it was his fault why Saliba had not been given any game time at Arsenal, but he was hoping to include him in his future plans. Well, A, we'd like to know what those problems was. We're probably never going to know.
Yeah.
And B, what are the future plans for him?
Yeah.
I mean, presumably not to just keep sending him out on loan, especially at a time when, as we said a minute or so ago, that we're struggling defensively.
Exactly,
Thought. And then they're going to look to bring in Ben White, who we'll discuss later. So, a bit weird that. But anyway. Right, so Albert Sambi Lokonga. You're now done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you happy about that?
I mean, it's more hope than expectation. I got to be honest, I've seen him a few times. He's highly thought of. Henri recommended him. Company gave him the armband. I can't actually say, listen, this guy is going to change our fortunes. He's a young player. We're going to have to be patient with him. It'll take him time to adjust. And I hope he does really well. I think we need to unearth a few gems, really, because we can't just go and buy all the name brands, you know, all the Gucci and Prada business, you know. So, yeah.
Do you think he'll get much game time, though? Because, I mean, okay, we haven't got European football this season.
Yeah.
So, normally, you know, we would have been in Europe, albeit the Europa League. But that would have been a way of giving him some game time and developing him. So, that opportunity won't be afforded. Okay, you got the cups. The FA Cup and the League Cup, Carabao Cup. Is it likely that he'll feature, do you think, in those games?
I think, see, it depends who else we buy. At the moment, obviously, we don't know what our midfield's going to be next season. Partey, Xhaka looks like he's going. You know, it depends. I think he will get game time, but for me, I don't think he can be the main one next to Thomas Partey. I think we've still got to go and buy somebody on a higher level who's just ready to slot straight in and partner Thomas Partey for me.
Okay then. During the week we got news about Emile Smith-Rowe. He's only 20 years old. We now know that he signed a long-term deal, 5-year deal.
Yeah.
He's also been given the iconic number 10 shirt, previously worn by players of the ilk of Bergkamp, Ozil, Van Persie. And
William Gallas as well.
Did Willian wear the 10 at time?
I don't know, I hope not.
But yeah, Emile Smith-Rowe, that's positive news, isn't it?
Oh, I'm delighted with that because over the years we've seen Arsenal mess up so many contracts. You know, players like Van Persie, Sanchez, all that. I look at it now, I think Saka, Smith-Rowe, Martinelli, for me, are 3 best young players. And we've got them all tied down to long contracts. Balogun as well, Tierney, you know, all these guys. So the future looks bright, you know. It's just the present we have to deal with. But no, I think Smith-Rowe's a fantastic young player. The number 10 shirt, initially, I'll be honest, my feeling was, because I'm a bit old school in it, to me, number 9 and 10 as a striker. Iconic numbers. To me, you got to put in serious work to get them. But the way football is now, it's changed and, you know, he's one of our own as well. You know, he's come through the academy, so if it helps him blossom, then
or could it be that Arsenal's been a bit clever there by giving him that number 10 shirt? It could be, I mean, speculating, because we couldn't get some of our other targets.
Yeah, maybe.
Diaz and 1 or 2 other people who are said to have been chasing and nothing's come of it. You're basically saying to the young guy, well, look, you step into the breach now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because, I mean, Saka's got the 7 and Smith-Rowe's got the 10. I would rather give it to young players with huge potential than some kind of Willian or someone like that, do you know what I mean? And it might have been part of the deal. He might have been asking for it, you know, the 10's there, I want it. They gave it to Jack Wilshere at a young age as well, so, But no, I'm delighted with Smith-Rowe.
Yeah, man, me too. I think he'll do well. And the good thing about this particular deal was that he'd been approached by other clubs, we understand. Villa. And he'd made it clear that he wasn't even going to entertain talking or speaking with anybody else. He was firmly fixated on signing for Arsenal. The deal's been done. And so, man, I'm quite encouraged by that. Talking of midfielders, news about Arsenal being interested in James Madison and him also reciprocating that interest. I don't know whether financially the deal makes sense, but it would appear that Madison's expressed an interest in coming to Arsenal, and Arsenal would quite like him to come. What do you think? Deal or no deal?
Oh, a deal for me. If they can make that happen, I'll be all over it. I want a number 10 that can score goals, that can shoot from distance. You know, as good as Ozil was, towards the end especially, wasn't scoring. You know, Odegaard wasn't really scoring. Smith-Rowe still needs to add goals to his game.
That's right.
We need an attacking midfielder that can get 8, 10, 11 goals a season to take that pressure off your Aubameyangs and people like that. He takes set pieces, he's good on the ball, he can pick a pass. And I think he would be interested in coming to Arsenal. You know, he's a bit of a lad from what we hear. I think he would like the London lifestyle. You know, he missed out on the England squad, and sometimes you think, is that because he plays for Leicester? No disrespect to them, but him coming to Arsenal puts him on a bigger platform. He'll be on a lot more money, I'm sure, as well. You know, that always helps.
That helps, yeah.
But no, for me, Madison, I think they're talking about 60 million.
Yeah, that's
they
what
want,
I heard anyway, from between 50 and 60. I'm not
yeah.
sure whether Arsenal would pay that much, but...
But then if you're
they
going to
paid
pay
it for Ben White.
yeah, exactly. So, and apparently Leicester want Ainsley, so maybe you could give them Ainsley and a little bit less money.
Okay.
So, yeah, for me, James Madison, I think will be a great signing.
I'd definitely take James Madison,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that the deal will be done. Like you said, man, the thing that strikes you immediately about James Madison is he's a goal-scoring midfielder.
Yeah.
From set pieces, he's good, and you know he will get you goals. And
Yeah.
it's been a long time since we've had a goal-scoring midfielder at the club. Funny enough, we kind of came across a goal-scoring midfielder last season. The only problem is we loaned him out to you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Probably Ramsey's the last one we've had, really, that scored goals at Arsenal.
So, yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I know this is one that will excite you a lot. Granit Xhaka, it would appear that the deal's almost done now to take him to Rome.
Listen, the champagne's on ice. You know what I mean? The champagne is on ice. See, I always told people, you know, when I always was bigging up Mourinho before, it wasn't actually that I wanted him at Arsenal. It's because I knew he was going to sign Granit Xhaka. I was thinking ahead, people. You know what I mean?
He was thinking ahead.
I was thinking ahead, but Granit, listen, man. I mean, it's time to go, isn't it? For
I'm
me,
going to play devil's advocate here. Listen,
here it goes.
Because I actually, you know what? I'm not like as down on Granit Xhaka as some of you guys are.
No.
Like you and Turkish and one or two other guys. You're not having him at all. I actually think he's a good player, and he does have certain attributes that I respect. His physicality. He has a certain leadership quality that I like about him as well. He's solid, man. You know what I mean? He's not. You know what I mean? He's not Pirlo or nothing like that.
He's definitely not Pirlo, I'll tell you that.
He's not a Kante. He's not going to like get round the pitch, energy bunny style. But he does bring certain attributes to the team. So what I'm saying to you is, when you see how he performed for Switzerland in the Euros, do you not see that there's a player there? Do you not think that why can't Arsenal like just appreciate the player for what he is? I sometimes think that with Xhaka, that we're trying to almost like reinvent him into a player that he's not. We should just accept him for what he is. And, you know what I mean, I'm not saying build a team around him, because that's going a stage too far, but accept him for what he is, and we play around his strengths and hope that will enhance the team rather than concentrating on the things that he can't do.
Listen, I understand what you're saying. I don't think Granit Xhaka's a bad player, because you can't play.
You
no, I actually don't. You can't.
It seems like you've been telling me for the past couple of years how bad he is.
Some players don't suit certain leagues, certain teams.
Right.
For Switzerland, he plays a certain system, and international football is slower, and he excels. You see the same thing with Pogba in that French team, international football. He looks like an absolute world beater next to Kante. You put him in the Man United team, the Premier League, he's got different players, he's not as productive. I think Granit Xhaka, number one, I think the Premier League is too quick and intense for him. I don't think he sees the picture quick enough when he's on the ball, which is why he makes mistakes, he gets caught on the ball, he gives away silly fouls. I think in Italy at Roma, he'd probably do well in a defensive style team, in a slower league. So I've never really said Granit Xhaka is a bad footballer. I just think in our system, in our league, he doesn't excel. No. And he's not a squad player at Arsenal. It's not like, well, he plays every so often. When he's fit, he plays. And I think in the Premier League...
Why do you think that is, though? Because successive managers have played him.
Yeah.
Wenger, Emery, and now Arteta. They've even played him out of position. So, for example, last season, we saw Arteta playing left back.
Yeah.
Now, that suggests to me that those managers have seen something in the guy. You know what I mean? What he brings to the table. I think, didn't I hear last season Arteta was saying that he wouldn't drop him or something like that, or words to that effect.
Yeah.
So much so that, you know what I mean, when we've had a problem at left back, he stepped into that role. And let's be honest, he didn't, you know what I mean, set the world on fire, but he did a job there.
Yeah.
So do you not recognise those attributes that he brings to the team, or do you just straight up, nah, I'm not having it?
The problem with Xhaka, I do think he has some good leadership qualities. Obviously, Wenger bought him. I think Emery named him as one of the 5 captains.
Yeah.
Arteta, they say, begged him to stay when he first came in. And you can see Arsenal's dressing room lacks leadership. So Xhaka is probably apparently he's very popular in the dressing room as well. The problem with Xhaka, he balances out those qualities with his deficiencies. You know, red cards, grabbing people around their neck, making mistakes that lead to goals. The situation that occurred with the fans throwing the armband and things like that, you know, those things kind of take away from the qualities for me. For me, Xhaka's been at the club, I think, over 5 years now. Considering what we paid for him, 35 million at the time, which would probably be even more now, I think you have to say it hasn't been a successful signing. When you think as well, they say at the time, we could have got N'Golo Kante. They didn't want to pay the agent fee. So for me, Xhaka, I think
I sometimes think that the point you mentioned about Kante has been a bit of an albatross around Xhaka's neck, because when you chat to a lot of people, they say, "Oh, imagine that we could have got Kante, and we ended up getting Xhaka." And when you kind of compare the two, they're obviously Kante's been far more successful. But I still think that Granit Xhaka has been a good player for Arsenal. But you know what? I'm not mad at that you want him to leave, because at the end of the day, it might be that it's probably a mutually beneficial deal for him to go to Roma. He seems to want the move.
Yeah, he does.
And if he goes, then, you know, Arsenal can start the rebuild process. Talking of which, defensive midfielder, we've been linked with Glenn Kamara, which kind of come out of the blue.
Wow. I saw that story, but I thought it was made up.
No. Apparently, there's been an interest expressed, apparently.
Yeah.
You're not having that one.
No, I'm not having that one. I mean, didn't he? He used to play for Arsenal. He came up through the youth.
Yeah, he started his career at Arsenal. He went to, I think it was another Scottish club. Then he went to Rangers. But if you look at his stats at Rangers, apparently they're pretty impressive. And of course, he represented Finland in the Euros. Yeah. And again, apparently stats are very good in the games that he played for Finland. So.
No, I don't want him.
You probably get him on the cheap.
Yeah, it would suit Arsenal, that, won't it? How are we going from like Basuma and now we're talking about Glenn Kamara? Yeah. Not for me. They're better targets than that, surely, man.
Yeah, that was one that came up on the radio that I thought I'd ask you about. Right back, Hector Bellerin in discussions with Inter Milan.
Yeah, but
we keep saying on the show that he's going, but
a lot of the reports are saying Inter are backing out of it.
Well, I think the issue there is that they want the player. I think that's been established. However, the sticking point seems to be money. Now, I think what they would like, because of their financial problems they're going through, they would prefer a loan move with an option to buy. And Arsenal, they just want the money.
Yeah.
And if I was Arsenal, I'd say, get the money. And,
get it.
I don't know, man.
A loan with an option is a bad deal for Arsenal, because if he goes to Inter Milan, has a bad year, gets injured, they're just going to say, take him back. Yeah. If he goes on loan, you've got to at least have an obligation that in 12 months they have to buy him and they're going to pay a certain amount of money. Loan with an option is a terrible deal. He's way too established as a footballer, whether we think he's a good player or not. Loan with an option would be a shocking move. You know, you're better off keeping him until you can sell him. But I think there's a problem with Bellerin, because he's well, yeah.
Well, he didn't cover himself in glory in that last friendly, did he? No. Because one of the goals was his fault, where the guy he was marking just ran away from him, left him stood on the spot. Yeah.
I think Arsenal.
I think we need to let him go, man. Seriously.
We do, but you're not going to let him. Would you let him go on loan with an option? So basically, it's just. They can send him back.
I probably would. I would want it, but I understand the business side of things.
Yeah.
But I think we've got to try and get rid of some of those players. Yeah. There's a little cabal of players there that we need to allow them to move on.
Get them out the door.
They're not necessarily bad players, like you said. It's just that they've done their time at Arsenal. It's not quite worked for whatever reason. We now need to let those guys go out the door, and bring in some new guys. Yeah. And I would, the likes of your Sambi Lokongos and Tavares and people like that. You know what I mean? I've got no problem in giving those guys a chance. Yeah. Man, listen. the deal should get done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But hey, we'll see what happens. Talking of defence again, centre-back Ben White. We're hearing that the deal could be done next week.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting, this one, because initially, when the news broke, I sensed the feeling that the fans were not like overly excited, were they? Because everybody was saying we should make midfield the priority.
Yeah.
And then we hear that obviously we lost out on Buendia. Next minute, we're being linked with Ben White. We thought if we were going to go to Brighton, it would have been for Basuma.
Yeah.
We ended up going for Ben White. Not a lot of fans were overly excited, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
Definitely.
But the more you read what other people in the trade say about this guy, they do really rate him.
Yeah.
And given some of our defensive floaters at the moment, I think that this probably could be a good move. I must admit, I haven't seen too much of him play, but from what I hear, having spoken to Leeds fans, I've listened to some of the so-called experts on the radio and the TV, and they're enthused about him. So, what do you think, bro?
I think his profile is right. I think it's what Mikel Arteta wants. He's looking for a defender that can get on the ball and start attacks. I think he wants to mirror that Pep Guardiola style. You start your attack from the defence. And listen, I think maybe we've paid a little bit more than he's actually worth. I think 50 million is Premier League and English player tax, really. But I do think we need a defender. A lot of people saying they didn't feel like we needed one. I do, but I don't think Holding and Chambers are the answer. You got Gabriel and Pablo Maria were decent, I think. Saliba obviously went on loan, which was a shame. So I do think we needed a centre-back. And I think it's good to have a team of players at a certain age where they can grow together. They're a good age. They will improve together. Rather than, again, your Willians and your older, your David Luiz. So for me, listen, I think he's a good player. I think maybe 30, 40 million would have been right, but it is what it is, man. In today's market, you're going to pay more. I think the fans need to really get behind him when he comes in.
I think that this could be a positive move. And like I said, we have shown already in the pre-season friendlies that we're not quite there defensively. So if he's as good as what people are saying, I mean, I've heard Danny Mills waxing lyrical about this guy.
He ain't waxing lyrical about Arsenal, though, is he?
No,
proper hater he is, isn't he?
You know what he actually said the other day? That Ben White is too good for Arsenal. He actually said that.
I think he's still hurt from when Henri nutmegged him at Highbury, man. He can't get over it. Yeah.
Absolutely
ruined
killed him. Ruined his career, man. But, I mean, listen, this guy has been highly spoken of. He was in the England squad for Euros. Didn't get any game time. But then that's understandable because the defence performed outstandingly well. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to if we get this deal across the line, see what he can bring to the table. So yeah, and of course, talking of defence, the goalkeeping position, man, that's come up for grabs recently because there's suggestions that Arsenal, and I was a bit surprised at this. So be interested to hear your thoughts. I was a bit surprised to learn that Arsenal may be prepared to let Leno go. First up, what's your thoughts on that?
It seems as if, because he's got 2 years left on his deal, it seems like he's not willing to extend it.
Right, is that the issue?
I think that's the issue, and he's kind of saying he wants to play in Europe. Because he was at Leverkusen, who they make Europe a lot of the time, whether it's Europa League. So he's probably seen Arsenal as, I'm making the big move, this is my step up. A few years later, you're not even in Europe. So maybe he's thinking, you know what, I need to move on, which, it looks like we've handled the goalkeeper situation badly because a year ago we let Martinez go. Leno a year later saying, I don't want to be it. When, you know what I mean? Surely at that time, if you're going to let Martinez go and you're saying, right, that's my guy, surely he should have signed a new contract. And you should have said, right, he's here for the next 4 or 5 years. You commit to the club if you're making me get rid of that goalkeeper. You can't have it where a year later he goes, not in Europe, I think I'm off. Do you know what I mean? But listen, man, Leno...
Although maybe none of us really saw the non-qualification for Europe coming,
that's
so that
the
might
thing.
have muddied the water slightly. But what do you think about this then? I mean, Arsenal, if they've been linked with goalkeepers, because they let Matt Ryan go. So we're hearing that they're looking at Barcelona's Neto. and also Sheffield United's Aaron Ramsdale. Sheffield United's Aaron Ramsdale.
Yeah.
Now, I could tell straight away that you're one of those Arsenal fans that are not enthused by Aaron Ramsdale coming to Arsenal.
No, I'm not. I'm really not, mate. And for £30 million.
Yeah, 30 million.
30 million.
And when you consider they let Martinez go for 20 million, kind of puts things into perspective a little bit.
I mean, listen, Ramsdale, he's had back-to-back relegations, one with Bournemouth, one with Sheffield.
Plenty of work.
Gets plenty of work. I mean, listen, he must be half decent. He's in the England squad.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And obviously Arsenal see something in him. I've watched him play a few times.
Right.
As you know, I'm friends with McGoldrick at Sheffield United,
Oh,
so I always watch them quite a bit.
Yeah.
I seen this Ramsdale last year, man, and I thought, this guy, because they paid a bit of money for him from Bournemouth. I'm not convinced by him at all.
Really?
Wow. Not convinced at all. And for 30 million, I'm like, where's the 30 million in him? I don't see it. I don't see it. I think, I know they were linked with that Onana from Ajax. He's being linked with Lyon now, and because he's got this ban until November. But even Sam Johnston at West Brom, I think, is a better keeper, and they reckon he could be available for 15 million. So I don't want Ramsdale anywhere near Arsenal. I don't want him anywhere near us.
Wow. Surely your mate McGoldrick's had a good word to say about him.
I think he scores past him every training session, man. We don't want Ramsdale.
Yeah, that one's kind of shocked quite a few Arsenal fans. And like I said, when you consider that they let Emile Martinez go, and then also they've let Matt Ryan go, who's a decent keeper.
Yeah, he was good.
And now you're kind of scratching around. It's clear that some of the guys at the club are not ready.
Yeah.
Renarson and the Okonkwo,
yeah,
he didn't cover himself in glory in the friendlies. So, yeah, man. And they do need, listen, if we're going to go forward and do anything this season, the goalkeeping position is of vital importance. So,
yeah.
Personally, I hope Leno stays, man. I really hope he does. But hey. Okay, so that's sort of like the transfer, unless you got anything you want to share with
Tammy Abraham?
Oh, of course, Tammy, yeah.
Tammy, man.
Tammy. You know what? If you'd have asked me about this a year or so ago, I probably would have laughed out loud. Right?
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, man. Since he's gone to Chelsea, he's performed quite well. He's performed quite admirably. And he has certain attributes that I think could help Arsenal. He's good in the air, young, strong, quick, physical type of guy. But I was surprised to see him linked with Arsenal. But hey, man, you're the striker. You're the expert. What's your thoughts?
I mean, Tammy, I hear what you're saying. You know, I think he's 6'4" and he is a nuisance. He's difficult to play against.
And sorry to interject, but he scored goals, didn't he? He was very prolific at Villa.
Under Lampard as well, he did
well. And then when he first made the team at Chelsea, which was at the start of last season, he was quite prolific there as well.
Yeah.
And he may have a future, man. Maybe he just needs the right club to unearth his potential. Could Arsenal be that club? I mean, it would offer us
something
a different option, wouldn't it?
I mean, they're saying this will be for Lacazette leaving. Lacazette will, if they bring in Tammy, Lacazette will go. For me, Tammy, I wouldn't sign him personally. Number one, they want 40 million. I think that's a lot of money for
again the British player.
And he's young, well, youngish. But I just think if we're trying to get where Chelsea are, where Man City are, Liverpool are, Tammy Abraham under Tuchel was their fourth choice striker. Fourth choice. Werner, Havertz, Giroud, Tammy Abraham.
Although if you're Tammy, you might be looking at someone like Havertz and saying, well, has he really done better than what I did?
Well, he scored Champions League final. Do you know what I mean?
But he's also quite known for missing a number of chances, isn't he, Havertz?
I just think Tammy, for me, 40 million. I still think he needs to tidy his game up a little bit.
But he's only young, right?
He is, but I just don't think Arsenal are in a situation to buy him and have to try and sort him out. I think if you're paying 40 million, I want something ready-made, ready to go, and maybe even replace Aubameyang. Also, we've been stung by Chelsea how many times now? Do you know what I'm saying? Gallas, David Luiz, Cech, Willian, and we're going to go and give you 40. So we're going to give them 40 million for Tammy Abraham.
Fair, all of those guys were aging. At least this is
they were aging. But we're going to give them 40 million. They're going to say, right, thanks for that 40. We're going to put that towards Haaland. So we're signing their fourth choice striker. They're signing one of the best young strikers in the world. For me, I'd stay away from it. I agree with you in terms of, I think it'd be good to get a striker that offers something different, like maybe a big man, like Giroud, like that kind of.
Because it has to be said, man, in terms of aerial prowess.
Yeah, we don't have it.
It's non-existent. Really, and that's no disrespect to the strikers we have. That's just not their game.
No.
If you get someone like Tammy, it gives you that option. So when we play in some of the teams with Burnleys and people like that, you know what I mean? You can just, and like I said, you know, if he's a squad player and you need to change the flow of the game, you can bring him on and he'll present, hopefully, a different set of problems than the likes of Lacazette and Aubameyang. So you could even play him in a 2 up front with them guys, you know what I mean? So I'm not totally against it.
You're not, are you?
No, I mean, like I said, if you'd have asked me this question at the start of last season, I'd have been, hell no, I probably would have laughed in your face. But now, I've seen him a lot more, and I appreciate what he brings to the table.
Yeah, I don't want nothing to do with him. leave him alone, man.
I think that's pretty categoric. Okay. Anyone else who's caught your eye?
No, I think that's it really, isn't it? Ramsdale and obviously.
Is there anyone you've seen recently that you really like Arsenal to go?
I think one that's interesting is Aouar is the one I keep looking at because I'm like.
I didn't mention Aouar because we were linked with him last season. Yeah. And we got a bit excited about it, didn't it? And then nothing came of it. We're also linked with him this season, but I'm now hearing that the interest is faltered and it's unlikely to happen. That's why I didn't mention it. But listen,
it just seems like a strange
one.
one.
Tell us why Aouar would be a good signing for us.
I think he's a quality player, man. I mean, last year they were talking about 50 million. And a year later, apparently he's about 25 million, but we don't want him. It's strange. I don't know. He didn't have the best of seasons last year at Lyon, and maybe they're thinking, you know, he's not quite up to it, but I just think he's a quality player. He's young. He's good on the ball. He can dribble, can pick a pass. 25 million for me is a no-brainer. But I don't know. I think they're looking at other people. Maybe he doesn't fit the profile this year. But for me, I would like Arsenal to get him.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Yeah, so that pretty much rounds up our transfer activity for Arsenal. In other news, some fairly sad news we got this week. We learned that the former CEO of Arsenal, now current AC Milan CEO, Ivan Gazidis, contracted throat cancer. He's receiving treatment, and the doctors are saying that he's expected to make a full recovery. But obviously it goes without saying that here, me, you, everyone here at AFTV wishes him
get well soon,
get well soon and a full recovery, man. So, yeah. Right, bro, we're coming to the end of the show.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for coming on and give us your honest and forthright opinions as usual. Tell the people they can find you, bro.
Curtis Shaw TV, daily uploads. We're on the rise, man. We're doing things.
You are,
doing
man.
some good
you
things
are
right
putting
now.
in some good work, man, as usual. Yeah. Enough respect for that.
And
thank you, people, for tuning in and watching the show. Truly appreciate your support. Let us know let us know what you thought of some of the things we spoke of today. Keep the show interactive. We love all that. So yeah, keep it coming. And we look forward to having you with us, seeing you next week. Take care. Respect.